For 25 years, millions of New Yorkers turned on their television and saw the same steady, familiar face reading them the news of the day. Calm, clear, trustworthy, that was Bill Ritter. But in June of 2026, that same face looked into the camera one last time and told his viewers something no one expected. Not a story about someone else, a story about himself. Bill Ritter, the longtime anchor of WABC's Eyewitness News, announced live on air that he was stepping away from the desk. The reason? An early-stage Alzheimer's diagnosis. Today, we're going to tell you the full story, from a kid in Los Angeles who got kicked out of college for protesting a war, to one of the most trusted voices in New York television, to a husband and father facing the hardest story of his life. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why his story matters to you, whether you've ever heard his name before or not. Stick around, because this one has real lessons in it, about marriage, about aging, about noticing the small things before they become big things. And if you want more stories like this, real people, real turning points, hit that subscribe button now, because we're just getting started. Let's go back to the beginning. William Sheldon Ritter was born on February 26, 1950, in Los Angeles, California. Nothing about his upbringing predicted a career in television news. He was just a kid growing up in Southern California during one of the most turbulent stretches in modern American history. The Civil Rights Movement, the Vietnam War, a media landscape that was shifting under everyone's feet. In 1968, Ritter enrolled at San Diego State University. And here's a detail that a lot of people don't know about him. He didn't graduate on schedule. In 1972, he was expelled from the university, not for bad grades, not for misconduct in the way we usually think of it, but for helping organize a demonstration against the Vietnam War. A young man with a strong enough sense of conviction to get himself thrown out of school for it. That same year, 1972, he began his career in journalism, not on television, in print. Think about that for a second. The man who would spend decades of his life being watched by millions on camera didn't start in front of a camera at all. He started with a notepad and a byline, learning to ask questions and chase down facts the old-fashioned way. Through the late 1970s and into the 1980s, Ritter worked his way up through local San Diego journalism. He was a reporter and editor for the San Diego Business Journal from 1980 to 1984. Then he moved to the San Diego County edition of the Los Angeles Times, first as a reporter, and eventually as business editor, from 1984 to 1987. This is where his reputation really started to take shape. Ritter developed a specialty: white-collar crime, financial fraud, corporate wrongdoing, the kind of stories that take patience, documents, and a willingness to make powerful people uncomfortable. And here's the thing about Bill Ritter that stays consistent his entire career. He wasn't chasing car chases and breaking news for the sake of drama. He was chasing the truth in places people didn't want him looking. That instinct would define the next 50 years of his life. By 1987, Ritter made the jump from print to television, and that's when his career really started to take off. From 1987 to 1990, Ritter worked as a business reporter, then an investigative reporter at KNSD-TV, the NBC affiliate in San Diego. And in just 3 years, he won 4 Emmy Awards. 4 in 3 years. That's not a fluke, that's a body of work. In 1987, he took home Emmys in 2 categories for exposing a safety scandal that most people had no idea was happening. A story about killer whales and their trainers at San Diego's Sea World, and the safety protocols, or lack thereof, surrounding them. This was investigative journalism using patience and access to reveal something the public deserved to know. That same year, and the following year, he was also named NBC Affiliate Reporter of the Year, twice in a row. Then in 1989, he won again, this time for uncovering a local stock swindle, a financial fraud scheme that was quietly hurting everyday investors, and for what the judges called his overall journalistic enterprise. Essentially, recognition for the full body of investigative work he was putting out, not just one story. This is the version of Bill Ritter that most viewers today never saw. Before he was a calm, trusted face reading the 6 o'clock news in New York, he was a scrappy investigative reporter in San Diego, digging through financial records and going after people who thought no one was watching. He also anchored the station's coverage of the Gulf War during this period. his first real experience being the face viewers turned to during a major, ongoing national story. That skill, staying composed, staying clear, when the news itself is chaotic, would become his signature for the next 3 decades. By the early 1990s, it was clear Ritter had outgrown local San Diego news. The next stop, Los Angeles. In 1990, Ritter moved to KTTV, the Fox affiliate in Los Angeles, working there as an investigative reporter through 1991. He also had a stint reporting for the Fox network's nationally syndicated entertainment program during this window. Then in 1992, he moved to KCAL-TV in Los Angeles, and this is where he covered one of the most consequential stories in modern American history: the trial connected to the beating of Rodney King and the Los Angeles riots that followed the verdict. If you're not familiar with this story, in 1991, Rodney King, a black motorist, was violently beaten by Los Angeles police officers following a car chase, and the beating was caught on videotape. When a jury acquitted the officers involved in 1992, it triggered days of civil unrest across Los Angeles, one of the most significant moments of racial reckoning in American media history. Bill Ritter was there reporting on it for a national audience. At KCAL, Ritter also had his own platform, a segment called Up Front, which headlined the station's 9 p.m. weeknight newscast. It gave him space to offer perspective on the day's biggest national or international story, not just report the facts, but help viewers understand why the story mattered. This period matters because it shows the range Ritter had built by his early 40s. He wasn't just a local investigative reporter anymore. He had covered a defining national story, and he had built a voice viewers trusted for perspective, not just facts. And then in December of 1992, everything changed. Ritter joined ABC News as the founding co-host of Good Morning America Sunday. Think about what that title means, founding co-host. He wasn't stepping into an established show. He was there at the very beginning, helping build something from scratch on a national stage for one of the biggest networks in the country. He held that role for years, also working as a correspondent for the flagship Good Morning America broadcast. And in November of 1997, he added another major credential, becoming a correspondent for 2020, ABC's flagship news magazine program. By this point, Bill Ritter, the kid who got expelled from San Diego State for protesting a war, was a fixture of national American television. But his biggest chapter was still ahead of him. In June of 1998, Ritter joined WABC TV's Eyewitness News in New York City. At first, it was a part-time arrangement. He anchored on weekends while continuing his full-time correspondent work for ABC News and 2020 during the week. But New York recognized what it had. In October of 1999, Ritter was named the anchor of the 11 p.m. newscast, succeeding a legend in New York broadcasting, Bill Buell, who had anchored at WABC for decades. That's not a small handoff. That's stepping into the shoes of one of the most respected names in the history of New York television news. Then in February of 2001, Ritter added the 6 p.m. newscast as well. 2 major broadcasts, 1 anchor, night after night, for the next 25 years. And over that quarter-century, Ritter covered the stories that defined an era for New York and for the country. The murder of 8-year-old Leiby Kletzky in Brooklyn, a case that shook the entire city. The attacks and assaults on women in Central Park following the Puerto Rican Day Parade. The Columbine High School shootings in Colorado. The death of Princess Diana. The crash of TWA Flight 800. The criminal and civil trials of O.J. Simpson. The aftermath of the Oklahoma City bombing. These aren't just headlines. These are the stories that shaped how an entire generation of Americans understood grief, justice, tragedy, and resilience. And night after night, Bill Ritter was the voice guiding viewers through them. Across his full career, Ritter has been credited with 7 Emmy Awards total, building on those first 4 from his investigative years in San Diego. But here's something important to understand about Ritter, something that becomes crucial to the rest of this story. His skill as an anchor was so deeply ingrained, so automatic after decades of practice, that even the people closest to him, the people evaluating his health later in life, said you never would have known anything was wrong just from watching him on television. Reading a script, asking a question, telling a story. These were things Ritter had done so many thousands of times that his brain could do it almost on autopilot, even as something else, something much harder, was quietly happening underneath. We'll come back to that. But first, let's talk about the man behind the anchor desk. Bill Ritter has been married twice. His first marriage was to Janice Scott, herself an accomplished journalist and biographer, known for her work on figures including a widely read biography connected to Barack Obama's mother. Ritter and Scott met in San Diego and were together for approximately 19 years. They had 2 children together, a daughter, Mia, and a son, Owen. Eventually, that marriage ended. But by all accounts, both Ritter and Scott went on to build fulfilling lives, Scott continuing her acclaimed writing career, and Ritter eventually finding love again. In 2008, Ritter married Kathleen Friery, a former television producer. Unlike her husband, Friery has largely chosen to stay out of the public eye, letting Ritter's career carry the public attention while she worked, and later focused on family more privately. Together, Bill and Kathleen have one daughter, Ella, who is now 17 years old. That makes Ritter a father of 3, Mia, Owen, and Ella, and by his own account, someone who takes real pride in being a father and more recently a grandfather. In 2021, Ritter also spoke publicly about being a close ally to the LGBTQ+ community, revealing in a personal essay that his daughter Mia had come out to him when she was just 17 years old, the same age his youngest daughter is now. He's spoken about supporting her and the broader community with an open heart ever since. What's striking about Ritter's personal life is the contrast with his public one. For 25 years, he was one of the most recognized faces in the largest media market in the country. And yet his marriage, his family, his home life stayed remarkably private. That privacy is part of what makes the next chapter of this story hit so hard. Because when Ritter finally did open up about something deeply personal, it wasn't a small thing. It was the biggest challenge of his life. If you're finding this story as compelling as we do us a favor and hit that subscribe button and tap the notification bell too, so you don't miss the next deep dive we publish. It genuinely helps this channel keep telling stories like this one. Okay, back to Bill Ritter. Here's where the story turns. According to Ritter and his wife Kathleen, the very first signs were small, almost invisible, a forgotten name, a place that wouldn't come to mind. The kind of thing that happens to almost everyone from time to time, especially as we get into our 70s. Ritter has described it as a feeling of a word being right on the tip of his tongue, something he could brush past because, honestly, who doesn't experience that occasionally? But in the back of his mind, he knew something was different this time. His wife noticed it too, and here's something honest and human about this part of the story. Kathleen has admitted she was nervous to bring it up. Nobody wants to be the person who tells their spouse, "I think something's wrong." But when she finally did say something, Ritter didn't get defensive. He didn't dismiss her. He simply said, yes, he was feeling it too. That moment, a spouse noticing something first, and a partner being open enough to admit it rather than deny it, is one of the most important and most overlooked parts of early cognitive health awareness. Denial delays diagnosis. Openness saves time. And time, when it comes to conditions like Alzheimer's, matters enormously. In early 2024, the couple started talking to doctors. And at first, the news was almost reassuring. Physicians diagnosed him with something called mild cognitive impairment, or MCI. That's a real medical category, a mild decline in memory and thinking skills that doesn't always progress into something more serious. Sometimes people with MCI actually improve. So for a while, the Ritters held on to hope. Bill even scaled back his workload, stepping away first from the 11 p.m. newscast, hoping more sleep and less stress might be part of the answer. But the memory issues didn't go away. By the summer of 2025, it was clear that watching and waiting wasn't enough. The Ritters went back to doctors, different doctors this time, and began a new, much more intensive round of testing. Cognitive testing, brain imaging, and eventually a spinal tap, one of the more invasive tools used to help confirm an Alzheimer's diagnosis. That process took 3 to 4 months, and late last year they finally got their answer: early-stage Alzheimer's disease. Kathleen has described the diagnosis not as one single dramatic moment, but as the end of an exhausting, months-long process. And when the word Alzheimer's was finally said out loud, there was almost a strange sense of relief mixed in with the fear. Confirmation that they weren't imagining things, that what they'd been feeling was real. For Ritter, his first thought wasn't about himself, it was about his family. What would this mean for his wife, for his kids? But within minutes, by his own account, his instinct shifted to something more practical. Okay, we have to deal with this. And it's worth noting this disease isn't unfamiliar to him. Ritter has said he lost his own father to Alzheimer's back in 1998. He has watched this disease from the other side before. He knows exactly what it can take from a family because he's lived through it once already, just from a different seat at the table. With no cure currently available, Ritter began receiving treatment aimed at slowing the disease's progression, including a monthly infusion. And then, in June of 2026, he made the decision to share his diagnosis publicly, announcing live on air that he would be stepping away from anchoring WABC's 6 p.m. broadcast, the broadcast he had anchored for 25 years. Since stepping back from the anchor desk, Ritter hasn't disappeared from journalism entirely. He said he plans to keep reporting when he can, specifically on stories about Alzheimer's research, treatment, and the families living with this disease every single day. He's pouring his energy into advocacy work with the Alzheimer's Association, pushing for deeper coverage of how unaffordable treatment and long-term care have become for so many families in this country. And when people call him brave for how he's handled this, Ritter pushes back on that word. In his view, this isn't bravery, it's just who he is. He's spent his entire career built around one core idea: report the facts wherever they lead, no matter how uncomfortable. And now that principle applies to his own life, not just the stories he covers. His wife Kathleen has said that watching him respond this way has made her prouder of him than ever, that instead of focusing on loss, he's focused on the next step, the next thing he can do to help. So what's the actual takeaway here? What can you watching this video right now actually learn from Bill Ritter's story? First, pay attention to the small signs in yourself and in the people you love. The earliest warning signs of Alzheimer's are subtle. A forgotten name, a misplaced word. It's easy to write off as normal aging, and sometimes it is just normal aging. But the Ritter's story shows the value of not ignoring a pattern, even when it's uncomfortable to name it. Second, speak up, even when it's scary. Kathleen was afraid to bring up what she noticed. But that conversation is exactly what started the process toward getting real answers. If you notice something in someone you love, the discomfort of that conversation is almost always smaller than the cost of staying silent. Third, a diagnosis is not the end of the story you get to write. Ritter didn't retreat from life after his diagnosis. He redirected his platform, his voice, and his advocacy toward helping other families facing the same disease. That's a powerful example of turning a personal hardship into purpose for others. And finally, professional competence and personal struggle can exist side by side, invisibly. Ritter's colleagues, and even his own doctors, said you never would have known anything was wrong just from watching him on air. That's